Hello and welcome to another edition of the interviews on Let's Get It On and Spectrum on Air. Today in the studio, we've got a fabulous guest who we are going to run out of time talking to. I know we are because there's so much to say. I'd like to welcome Dee Anderson, whose parents you will know very well. Dee, welcome.
Oh, it's lovely to be on your show. Thank you for inviting me. It's one of those years where Thunderbirds is celebrating a big birthday.
And Thunderbirds and actually the other series that your parents produced and created, they entertained millions of children in the 60s, didn't they? Me included. We were all glued to the television.
Yes, exactly. Well, I talk about that in my show, actually. I'm doing a tour this year, Growing Up with Thunderbirds, which corresponds with the book that I've written. And so all the sort of anecdotes and memories, my perspective of what happened at the time and, you know, seeing the puppets come to life and all that sort of thing. So it has been an incredible journey, and one that I'm really happy to share with everyone because it's everyone's journey, it's everyone's memories.
It is indeed. And we have a question for you from Amy Cotterill. And she said, was making the shows a 9 to 5 job for your parents with them at home in time for dinner and bedtime? Or was the creative process as it is today hard to balance with parenthood?
Very, very good question. Sorry, what was her name, the lady's name?
Amy
Amy,
Cotterill.
Amy, a very good question. Most of the time, it was a 24-hour day for them. And sometimes they did come home, but I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. And so I suppose from that point of view, it was, you know, an advantage for me because my grandparents were so amazing. But yeah, they'd worked very hard, and I suppose it taught me how the creative process worked, in terms of, you know, what it's like to sort of create amazing sort of futuristic programs and vehicles and characters and, you know, seeing everything come to life from just a little tiny seed of an idea. So it's like, you know, you dream big, and you just go for it. And there were many times that they nearly didn't make it because the money ran out, or you know, they couldn't get the television to buy the series or whatever. That was in the beginning. And at one point they just were all going to go their separate ways, and then suddenly Lou Grade came along. But anyway, I won't spoil it because that's what I
No,
talk
because
about in the show.
yeah, I know. And she asked, did you ever get to play with the puppets?
Of course, absolutely.
And have you still got
All
them?
the
I
time.
bet you have, haven't you?
I have. I've got a Lady Penelope. Yeah, I have. And that was my favourite character, in case
Mine
anyone else
too.
asks that.
Mine too. I tell you, I have a friend called Jenny Barton. Jenny, if you're listening, and I'm going to send this to you because you will not believe I'm talking to this fabulous lady, but she speaks like Lady Penelope naturally.
Really?
Yes.
Gosh.
And I had a friend who looked like Parker. So we were trying to get them together to do a festival, and I had somebody who'd got a pink Cadillac, and I went, right, I want Jenny and Bill to be in the car
Oh,
as Lady Penelope and Parker. And we never pulled it off, but it would have been
oh,
amazing because
that
Bill
would.
could. He was a bit like Park, you know, very kind of, you know, yes,
Yes,
my
yeah.
lady, you know.
Yes, my lady. Yeah. I
Now,
love that. I love that.
I will try and record her and I'll send it to you because it will honestly she could have been the character.
Yeah.
She's not like Lady Penelope, but she honestly we all call her Lady P. We don't call her Jenny, we call
Yes.
her Lady P.
I love that. Isn't that fantastic?
But
Wow.
again, as children, we all grew up with the series and we all loved it. And I didn't realise that um, Mick was reminding me that Four Feather Falls in
Hmm.
1960 was the first one, followed by
Yes, it was.
Stingray,
Yep.
then Thunderbirds, then
Yep.
Captain Scarlet. And
Yep.
as a child, I could never understand why Stingray suddenly stopped and then Thunderbirds came on board because I loved
Yes.
Stingray.
Yes. Marina,
That's
the
it, yeah.
perfect woman.
Yes. Swimming under that water, you know.
Yes.
What a world
Oh,
she had.
I know, wasn't it? And I've got some great stories about Marina as well, which I won't tell you now. I won't spoil it for you. But no, fabulous. I remember that too when I was a kid. Very, very young kid, but I loved going to the studio. I mean, it was just very magical for
I
me.
bet. I mean, you
Yeah.
must have been very popular at school
Oh
because
yes, I was very. I was eventually. I used to pretend it didn't happen. I think because I just wanted a normal life, you know, and I actually thought most kids were like had parents who did these amazing things, and but when I found out they didn't, I thought, oh, I better keep quiet about that. And then and then suddenly I found it was quite cool to tell people. They
yes,
all wanted to come to the studio.
it became quite, I would say, pioneering in lots of ways because the merchandise that came out for all of those series
Yeah.
sold across the world, didn't it? It was just
Oh,
phenomenal.
massive, massive sales across the world. And even in the 90s, when it came back, there was a resurgence with Anthea Turner doing Blue Peter and all that sort of thing. And it was shown again, and it was the biggest selling Christmas present that year. I think it was
Wow.
93 or 94. I mean, it never goes away. And then ITV did a series 10 years ago for the 50th anniversary,
Thunderbirds are
and an
go.
animated series. So it keeps coming back. And I think what I'm very proud of is that they've because my mother was the writer in the family, so ITV have just given an award in her name
Oh,
for the
how
film and
lovely.
for the film and television school for new screenwriters, and she would be so thrilled about that, so thrilled. So
I guess they were so busy making it that they weren't really aware of the success of it, were they? I guess it was,
no,
they were just busy creating. So can
yeah.
I ask who the characters were modelled on? Where did they get these characters from?
Well, my mother was the you know, she's got the credits for the character visualization, so she created the characters, and my dad did the vehicles and the, you know, technology and all that sort of the hardware, if you like, which I remember really well. And my mother had a special interest in Lady Penelope. And Mary Turner, who sculpted her, lives down the road from me, and we go out quite. She's 91, but I take her
Gosh.
out quite a lot. Yeah, she's lovely. So she remembers it really clearly. I mean, she's amazing for 91. You'd never know that, and very bright and all the rest of it. So she tells me a lot of stories, which and reminds me of a lot of things. And she actually sculpted Lady Penelope. And my mother was so interested in this character. She wanted it to be perfect. And Mary said, it took several goes, and in the end, she just did my mother's face. And my mother didn't know that, and she came back in and she, you know, Mary, that's perfect. And so, and then she told her, Sylvia, it's you. And my mother actually said she changed the shape of the eyes, which were my eyes when I was a kid, because I've got a, you know, slightly more protruding eyes actually, and you know, but anyway, so I had some little tiny bit, you know, blink by
Input.
blink.
Yes. And who was Parker? Who inspired Parker?
Well, that's a really good story because Parker was played by David Graham, and they wanted, well, my mum wanted a really good role model for that, a really good sort of template for him to look at and to listen to. So they used to go to this place in Cookham called the King's Arms, and we used to go there quite a lot. They'd take me for lunch sometimes, but they went, I think, every day, because they were in the studio down the road. And there was a guy there who used to work for the royal family. So, and he had this voice, and he'd go, "Madam, what would you like? What wine would you like to do?" So they went, "Yes, that's it, perfect, perfect." So they took David Graham there, and that's how he got the voice of Parker.
Oh wow. Did he know? Did the
I
chap
don't
know?
think, no, he never knew. No, they never told him. No, they didn't want to be sued. And also,
Oh.
and visually, there was a double act, and what part of the double act was Ben Warris. I don't know this double act, but anyway, that's who he was based on, and he had the same sort of sleepy eyes, and you know, kind
That
of angular
nose
face. Yeah,
and the nose. That was a very prominent kind of nose, wasn't it, on Parker?
it was
Side
very.
profile, you know. Well, at this point, we ought to say something about your musical career as well, because you are a singer-songwriter as well and an actor.
Oh,
You've
thank you, thank
you've
you.
done a lot of things in your own right, haven't you, by
I
singing?
I have, thank you. Yes, and I'm still doing it. And in fact, I torture everyone in my show by singing to them as well. Not a lot of songs, but a few from the era. But yes, I love singing, and I think that was one of the, when Amy asked about the parents, seeing the parents, one of the advantages was my grandparents, real South Londoners, used to encourage, they would always be playing the piano, my grandmother, and so I did a lot of singing, and they'd put me in for competitions, and I know that's where it all came from. So I feel very comfortable
That
with a microphone.
you had your own direction as well as your parents having theirs.
I did.
They were good role models for you, weren't they? All four of them actually.
Oh yeah, they were. 'Cause
you learn from them, don't they? We're going to listen to one of your songs now, which is "Where Do You Sleep" from your album Love in a Dark Place. Tell us a little bit about that, Dee.
Thank you. Well, I wrote that with my late husband, who was a fabulous singer-songwriter as well, called Mike Kahn. And he said to me, because we used to work in a lovely studio in Hackney, where Amy Winehouse records, all the big stars record there, and it's called The Premises. And they had a lot of kids from Hackney, from the streets. And he said, a lot's written about the kids, but what about the parents and the suffering of the parents when, you know, they're in gangs? And it's relevant today. It was written 15 years ago, and it's relevant very much today with the gangs in London. And it's, you know, how the suffering of, well, single parents and people with kids who are in gangs, and there's nothing they can do about it.
No, and a lot of them end up on the street, don't they? A lot of the youngsters,
they do.
And then the life of crime pursues.
Exactly.
So let's give you a little bit of a break, and let's have a listen to this song, this beautiful song.
Thank you.
In the alley lies an old man, empty briefcase in his dead hands. Tell me, son, where did you sleep last night? Your dad is gone, empty space where it used to hang. Tell me, son, where did you sleep last night? Blind Winnie's always loved you since you were a boy. She's whispering through the keyhole. She sees blood upon the door. Screaming on the stairway, siren on the highway. Tell me, son, where did you sleep last night? Loved you, I will forevermore. Your young bride who's with child is sobbing, staring at the floor. Rumors of robbery and run, John Doe and your daddy's gun. Tell me, son, where did you sleep last night?
Hot shot, born dead, living in the wrong head. Nothing on the right side, nothing on the left side, nothing on the outside, time bomb on the inside. Got to keep your face hard, living in the wrong yard. Looking at the fat man, showing off his suntan. Living on the front line, everybody wasting time. Checking out the baby wife, got to get a new life. Stay cool, look round, gotta keep your hood down.
I have always loved you since the day that you were born. Take what you need from me and run, my baby, run. Shadows in the hallway, cops upon the stairway. Tell me, son, where did you sleep last night? And if I could, I'll change with you tonight. Tell me, son, where did you sleep last night? Tell me, son, where did you sleep last night?
So, Dee, having listened to your song, your acting career as well, you
Yes.
played against the good and the great, haven't you, over the years?
I
You know,
have. Yeah, I have. I've done, television. I suppose, a jobbing actress is how it would be described. But I've had my moments where I've, had fantastic successes and tours and Plays for Today and all the rest of it. And I actually, about 5 years ago, at the eve of lockdown, launched an online series called Wonderbirds, which was interviewing big celebrities with Debbie Arnold, Sherry Houston, and Harriet Thorpe, who's now in EastEnders. So that was very, very successful. We did that until the end of lockdown, and then we've just launched another show, which is going online and picked up by a big distribution company, going on Amazon and Apple, and called Beauty Investigates, about women's well-being and beauty and inside and out beauty. So I think at our sort of age, although I don't like to talk age very much, 'cause it's just a number, but I think my contemporaries, we have to reinvent ourselves and go with what's going on. And it's a very successful series because a lot of people are relating to it. Because I think
well,
women
we're
of
not
a
done
certain
yet,
age,
are we? When we get to
done it.
We're
Exactly.
not done.
We still get up in the morning. We still wake up. We're still alive.
I mean,
So,
you are phenomenally busy. I don't know how you fit it all in.
oh gosh, I'm asking the same question to myself. But it's fun, isn't it? It's fun. And
You're meeting a lot
incidentally,
of
you look
different
very
people.
young, by the way. You look very young. So,
Oh, well, thank you. I'm not well. If I tell you that I was 5 when Thunderbirds was on, that gives you an idea.
very young.
But I think it keeps us busy. It keeps our minds active, doesn't it? Now,
It
I mean,
does.
you I think played against. I've got it written down here somewhere, against one of my favourite stars, Adam Faye.
Yes. Oh gosh. Well, I
What
did.
was he like?
Oh, he was fantastic. He actually, one of the puppets was based on him. Alan
Oh, was it?
was based on him, and yeah, and I did in the 80s. I did Alfie, the stage show of Alfie, and which is why I always listen to the Cilla Black song Alfie. But Adam was amazing, and we were very good friends because he'd known my mother from the Beverly Hills Hotel, where she used to go a lot and he used to go a lot. So we were very friendly, and also his wife Jax. And then he sadly passed away about 20 years ago now. But he was great fun, very intelligent, very charismatic, and a great actor. He was brilliant, and I loved doing that show. It was great. It was amazing, and the cast. Like Shireen Taylor, who'd been in Coronation Street, they were fabulous. It was a real family event, if you know what I mean. It was fantastic. Although we only did it, I think, for 3 months, but it was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean,
Brilliant.
you've been in The Bill, London's
Yes,
Burning, to
yes.
name but a few. I've written quite a few down. You also starred in Oh Boy with Alvin Stardust, Lulu,
I
Joe
did.
Brown,
I did.
Wendy Craig. I mean, these are all
Oh
household
yes.
names, aren't they?
Wendy became a friend of my mother's after. I mean, I was in as a kid, one of her programs, and I had a big part in that, and it was based on a true life event of hers, and she and her husband Jack wrote it together. And then my mother actually became very close to Wendy, and I do talk to Wendy quite a lot as well. She's phenomenal, and she's 90 now.
Is she really? I was
Yeah.
watching a little clip of hers. I think it was Family Makes Five the other day, and
Yes.
she'd got the washing and she was going through her son's pockets, and her facial expressions were incredible because she just used to make those expressions, and then you'd be laughing before she even said anything or
Oh,
did anything, you know.
yes, great comedy actress, but also she was also a great Shakespearean and classical actress as well, that people didn't really know, because commercially she made her name through all the Mother Makes Five and Butterflies and all that sort of thing.
Yes.
So, but she'd done a lot of really serious stuff, and she's such a lovely person, Wendy.
Yes, she comes across that way, doesn't she? You know, when
Really.
you talk to her. So we're here today to talk about your tour, because have you just done one of your tour dates? Is it, or
Not
is
yet.
Not yet. It's coming up on May the 12th, isn't it?
It is at the Phoenix Theatre Club in near Leicester Square. Few tickets left, but most of them have gone, but there are a few left. But it would be lovely. There's a party afterwards, a meet and greet. You should come, you guys.
Oh, I would love to, but I'm going on holiday. Mick, if you would like to go in my place.
Oh,
yeah,
please, I'll get you a ticket. Let me know.
I will do, but maybe you're back in then on the 29th of June at the Old
Woolen.
The Old Woolen. Is that in London
Leeds.
too? Oh, in Leeds, okay.
Leeds, yeah.
25th of July, we've got St George's Theatre.
In Great Yarmouth.
Oh, well, that's on my doorstep. Dee, I can come to that one.
Please, please, and I'll get you a ticket. Just let me know and come and see me afterwards.
I would love to do that. I'm sure
I'd love that.
We can catch up, so I can do that. Great Yarmouth is only down the road from me.
I love Great Yarmouth. I used to go see it again. I used to go there with my grandparents a lot.
Really? Well, if you need somewhere to stay, I have a house right on the doorstep of Great Yarmouth.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Do you let it out, or do you?
No, we just have. There's only the two of us here now because the kids have all grown up, but we've got plenty of room. If you want somewhere very, very quiet, I will message Mike when we finish.
Yes.
And let him know. You're more than welcome. And
Thank
then
you.
on the 30th of August, you're at the Forest Arts Centre.
Yes, in New Milton, in the New Forest.
And then 30th of November, the Cinema Museum.
Yes, there are some more dates coming in, actually, as in between. So I think we've got 10, and maybe the BFI, but that's to be confirmed.
Do you take the puppets with you as well?
Actually, just one puppet. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And how big are they? Somebody asked me how big they are. And I thought, well, how do you measure a puppet?
I think 15 inches, something like that.
Okay. So that's sort of this big.
Yeah.
And who operated the strings? Was that your father and your mother?
No, my parents actually had never worked with puppets before. It was only because somebody came into them the late 50s and said they wanted to work with, for them to do a puppet show, and then didn't commission anymore. And it was my mother's idea because actually my dad hated puppets. And he said that publicly, by the way. So it's not me not me grassing him up or anything, but he definitely he said in his documentary that he didn't like puppets, but it turned out that it worked for them very well. My mother had done it like a project when she went to university, to London School of Economics, which is really weird because she wanted to be a Hollywood actress, but ended up at university. And she said to him, "Well, come on, let's do something, because puppets could be really interesting. We could really stretch kids' imaginations and bring it all to life, So, yeah. So there you go.
And they did, didn't they? Very much so.
And by the time they got to Thunderbirds, they were very sophisticated.
I mean, that island that was sunk, then it all came up. I mean, kids were enthralled with it, because space travel and all of that was all new, wasn't it? And it was so far into the future. I mean, kids today, the things that they see, it's because of your parents and pioneers, that happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I know that when we went to the first night of Lord of the Rings, and Peter Jackson came up to my mum and said, "Oh my God, without you, I wouldn't be here," which is fantastic.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That is fantastic. Mm-hmm. Let's pause there for a second, because we're now going to play Alfie, a favourite song of yours. Obviously, Cilla Black has sang it, but that's a reminder for you of your time with Adam Faith, I guess.
Yes. Thank you.
Let's give you a break and we'll listen to Alfie, and then we'll be right back because we've got some more questions to put to Dee shortly.
Thank you.
What's it all about? Is it just for the moment we live? What's it all about when you sort it out, Alfie? Are we meant to take more than we give? Or are we meant to be kind? And if only fools are kind, Alfie, then I guess it is wise to be cruel. And if life belongs only to the strong, Alfie, what will you lend on an old golden rule? As sure as I believe there's a heaven above, Alfie, I know there's something much more, something even non-believers can believe in. I believe in love, Alfie. Without true love, we just exist. Alfie, until you find the love you miss, you're nothing, Alfie. When you walk, let your heart lead the way, and you'll find love any day,
Dee, doing this tour and doing all these interviews that you're doing at the moment, what's the sort of daftest question you've been asked and that's probably flummoxed you to answer?
Well, yes, people often ask questions that flummox me, but I usually know the answer, or I can sort of have a stab at it. I'm just trying to think the one that I've really struggled with. I think most people ask what is FAB, and of course it was fab in the 60s.
Yes.
But I think they did. I think they made something up in the end because so many people were asking them. But so that's how it was originally thought of. Oh, everything is fab, you know.
Yeah.
But I suppose people ask. I mean, what? Going way back, I suppose because I saw the puppets and how they were. You know, I saw that the arms, legs, bodies, heads lying all over the place. I knew they weren't actually real people. And I think at the time, so I suppose we're not talking about the questions now, but I did find it very difficult to believe that kids thought they were real people, because but having
Because
said
you knew
that,
they weren't, but
yes, having said that, I sometimes, again, when I would, you know, I would watch the programs, and believe me, we had to watch them. There was no choice. We were told you've got to watch these programs with my parents.
really?
Yeah, well, there was no getting out of it. But I did get lost in that. I mean, I think the storytelling is amazing.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, as a child, you know, did they use you as guinea pigs to sort of say that? So did you critique them for them at all?
Well, I'll tell you, the one that I do remember is because, you know, as kids, and I don't know if you remember this, but you would write off to fan clubs, and you'd get, there was no internet, obviously, and no way. So you'd get a comic and cut a thing out and send it off, and you'd be, it was a fan club of something, or it was, and you'd get a letter back with maybe a little badge or something.
Yes.
So they did a fan club, and then my dad said to me, "Now, I want you to give me an honest opinion of what you think of this fan." It was for Lady Penelope, actually. And I was a little bit older then, and I said to him, "Well, I'm very disappointed. I would be very disappointed because there's no letter." And he went, "Letter? Why would you want that?" I said, "Because you have to have a letter. It's communication, isn't it?
Yes.
Engagement."
Yes.
So he went off and he said, "Oh, okay then." And he came back. He said, "You just cost me 50 quid, which was a lot then." And my mother
because he had to
signed
write
it.
all these letters and then send them.
Yeah, my mother had to sit signing them. I've still got a copy, actually, of the letter.
I've got a feeling one of those letters popped up on Antiques Roadshow with one of the
Probably.
puppets that somebody bought, and obviously they were never going to part with it, and
Yeah.
they just brought it, obviously, because it's a point of interest, because it's, there's a whole generation of us now that are in our 60s that remember these shows that were so
Yeah.
inspirational, and
Yeah.
they were harmless, weren't they? They were harmless programs for
That's the
children.
other thing. And also very positive. It was all about teamwork and, brothers working together, families working together. We believed they'd save the world in half an hour,
And each other.
And each other, exactly. So, and and it was the first time that women had been seen as not just in the kitchen doing the washing up, So I
Yes.
think a lot of stuff was futuristic, and you look at 2001, which was done later, and I think some of the vehicles in Thunderbirds were better than the ones in 2001, personally.
Oh, I think so. I think
Yeah.
so. I mean, I had one of those big green ones where the middle came out and
Yes.
everything dropped down. Was that was Thunderbirds
Thunderbird
1, wasn't
2.
it? Was it Thunderbird 2?
Yeah.
That I had one of the great big thing it was I got for one Christmas, and I thoroughly enjoyed playing with that.
Wow. Oh, how lovely. Oh, so you really were a big fan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, we used to sit down. I mean, obviously, I remember Stingray. So I was 3 when
Yeah.
Stingray was out, and I remember loving that program. And I remember kicking up a fuss saying, "Why isn't it on anymore? Why isn't Stingray on?" Because the music, again, all these creative people with the music that went with those series as well, lovely, weren't they?
Well, do you know what? You're right, because Barry Gray wrote the music for most of it, and especially getting towards Thunderbirds and Thunderbirds theme, I think makes the programs. I think the music makes it, because I think
Yes.
music's so important. And I talk in the show about the music and how it came about, and it's quite fascinating, actually, but I remember Barry Gray really well, and he was such a lovely man. He'd been Vera Lynn's pianist and arranger in the Second World War. So he was a real musician. He was he was the real thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
When your parents, when the last series, were they happy to hang up their boots and sort of retire, or did they never stop? Did they move into different things?
Well, they wanted to always do live action, really. I mean, that was the dream. And so they did Space 1999 and UFO. And then, unfortunately, they split up. So my mother worked for Home Box Office in the States, and my dad did a couple of series, but they were never as good, because it was the combination of the two, I think. It was the magic of the two.
Yes.
It's a bit like
Yes.
bands splitting up and then one person trying to get a hit record, and it's never quite the same. But I think what they achieved was remarkable, and I think, as you said, ahead of their time.
Yes. What would they think of today's children's programs, I wonder?
Oh, not a lot. Well, actually, no. My mother. I remember her saying that she thought Teletubbies was really, there was a lot of criticism about the language, but she felt that it had a really good energy to it and very good visuals, and so she did congratulate the producer on that, who was also female. But I think some of them they would have loved, and others not so much. But they both. Well, my dad passed in 2012, my mother in 2016. but they were still really, really amazed how long it had lasted, and that it had become sort of part of the furniture in the UK and the world, really, in Europe and Japan and everywhere. Yeah.
Part of the English heritage, isn't it? It's, you know,
It
classic
is.
shows like that.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
they were and they are still.
Yes.
We're going to have another little break now and play another song. And you've chosen Skyfall by Adele.
Yes.
And the reason for this choice, Dee, was?
Well, I love Adele. I love Sky. I love the way she wrote the song and sings it. And I also love Bond because obviously I was brought up with knowing the people who created Bond, the Saltzmans and also the Broccoli's. And I do know Barbara Broccoli. And, you know, I want to say congratulations to them because they've just done a deal with Amazon. And I know that Barbara will be doing her own stuff, and she's very talented as a producer and has a real kind of eye for good projects. So I thought Skyfall was the obvious one for me.
Yeah. Okay, let's have a listen to Skyfall by Adele.
Thank
and
you.
We'll be back shortly.
Thank you.
This is the end. Hold your breath and count to 10. Feel the earth move and then hear my heart burst again. For this is the end. I've drowned and dreamt this moment, so overdue I owe them. Swept away, I'm stolen. Let the sky fall when it crumbles. We will stand tall. Face it all together.
Okay, Dee, there was a particular mention that you would like to do today. We talked about things that you might want to talk about. Would you like to go ahead and make that mention?
Sure. So the tour starts on the 12th of May at the Phoenix Arts Club, and it's being promoted by Misty Moon, who is Stuart, actually, his name is, but that's his company, and he does all the retro tours. He's fantastic. So I'm really thrilled about that. And Simon Withington is producing it, and Natalie Ogle, as I said, has co-written it and is directing it. And so I think I've got everyone's name in, because I like to be, you know, I do appreciate all the hard work that everyone's put into this tour. Thank you.
Can you give us an idea of what the Thunderbirds book is about? What is that? Is that the anecdotes from the tour all in one in a book as well?
It kind of is, actually, but just extended. And we're doing like a pre-runner for the book at the tour, and then you could pre-order online on, and it's AUK, Andrews UK is the publisher, who've been going for a long time, and they're great. And they're doing a sort of special edition which you can actually order online now in advance, and that's also called Growing Up with Thunderbirds. But we've got a hardback, a signed hardback. There is only a limited edition, and then of course the paperback will be coming out quite soon after we start touring. But yeah, and so the program will have a lot of the teasers for the book in it. So
right,
yes.
So if you want a signed hardback copy of Dee's book Thunderbirds, Growing Up with Thunderbirds, where can our listeners get it?
So if you go onto Andrews UK, AUK, and type in Dee Anderson Growing Up with Thunderbirds, you can pre-order it.
Okay, and that will be a signed copy from Dee, so a very special edition, but there's a limited number, so you need to get them soon.
Thank you. Absolutely.
So once this is all done, are you doing any more acting, Dee, at all? Or I know you are still singing, aren't you? In where was it called now? I've got it written down here somewhere. There's a club that you play regularly at, isn't there?
Yes, Pizza Express. Well, actually, I'm next year. I want this tour. They're calling it a pilot tour, because it's been written by somebody with me called Natalie Ogle, who's brilliant. We've worked together to get the dynamics right. So we're on the road perfecting it, and then we want to go much bigger next year. And so there'll be more singing. So I'll be doing more, presenting, acting, singing next year as well. And who knows where it will lead.
No.
I'm happy to do acting, but I think music is my passion.
I was going to ask you that, and you've answered that question. Which comes first, music or acting?
Music.
Music.
Definitely.
Yeah. So more songs from you, more original songs from you, or do you do cover versions? Or
I do cover versions, but I am writing songs at the moment for another album, which is probably going to happen towards the end of 2026.
So there's no retirement for you yet, is there?
Oh no, unfortunately not.
Well, Dee, I would like to thank you for your time today, because I know you're a busy lady with a busy schedule, and you've got all these interviews lined up, and you must be exhausted by them all.
But thank you. It's been so fabulous, and talking to you, and I just think it's lovely, because sometimes the interviews, they're all been wonderful, but sometimes they're extra special, aren't they?
Yes, and it's been an honour and a pleasure for me to meet you, the creator of one of my childhood, what would you say? It was a programme that kept me entertained and kept me out my mum and dad's hair, I suppose.
Absolutely.
Like millions of children all around the country.
Oh, I
wish
glad.
you lots of success with this tour.
Thank you so much.
Try not to work too hard, but I will come and see you at the one in July then in Great Yarmouth.
And thank you for the invitation.
You are very welcome. We're going to play out to Happy by Pharrell Williams. Tell us why you've chosen this one.
I just think it's no particular reason, no sort of connection with it, except it makes me happy listening to it. I just think it's such a great song. I love it. And I think, for him to come up with that is brilliant.
You can't sit still to it, can you?
No, it's gorgeous.
So we'll all be bopping now.
Yes, we will.
Well, Dee, thank you very much for today. Enjoy the rest of your
tour,
tour.
darling.
And I hope it all goes well for you.
Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.
You will indeed.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye.
Because I'm happy. just what you